This is the inside of the Auto-Sleeper Kemerton XL MQ. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on, just here. Once I've done this, you will see that the interior lights automatically come on. They can be turned off just by pressing. And then all of them can then be turned on and off on their own individual switches. If they are these top touch ones, they will need to be touched before they will come back on again. Water pump on and off just here. The water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps and fill the boiler if it has been drained down. We then have awning light on and off. We then have water levels, so how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. And then we have power levels just here. So we have condition of both batteries and the active batteries ampage, the mains current and the solar current just here. Battery selection just here. So V for vehicle, L for leisure, whichever battery is highlighted on here is the battery you are using to run the back end of the motorhome. It's also the battery you are charging whilst hooked up to the main supply. Along the top here we have external temperature. We then have a little lightning strike just indicating that we're currently connected to mains supply. We have the humidity and the internal temperature. Whenever the solar panel is in operation, a little picture of a sun will also appear. If I now press the cog, we will go into the settings menu. So here we have the heater settings for the whale heating and hot water. We then have power settings just here. So at the moment I've got all charging set to smart, and this is the easiest option to have it on for both the main supply and for the solar panel. We then have automatic tank fill here for the whale filler on the outside. This just needs to be on to turn the solenoid on to allow water into the tank. And then we have both tank heaters on and off just here. At the moment, even though I've now just turned them both on, they haven't actually come on yet. It needs to be at least below about 3-4 degrees outside. We then have lights that will come on when the power is turned on. And then we just have screen brightness, etc. timeout just here. And then set your time and date just here. And then back to the beginning again. To use the whale control panel for the heating and hot water, you'll see you have two buttons just here. One for the water heater and one for the heating. So if we start with the water heater, you'll see as I begin to press it, a series of icons will appear until it eventually ends up back at off. So if we start with the first one, a little picture of a snowflake. This is the boiler's frost protection mode. So if you're not planning on heating the hot water in it and the weather is cold or approaching freezing outside, you can pop this on to avoid any frost damage occurring to the boiler. We then have a single wavy line. Wavy lines represent main supply. I always just round it up to make things easier, so I class this as mains electricity using about 1 kilowatt. We then have mains electricity using about 2 kilowatts. So these two are just dependent on the ampage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can run on gas with the little picture of the flame. If we have both power sources available to us, we can run in dual fuel, so a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt or a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts. These settings are very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. Whenever you are consuming gas, a little flame will just appear when my finger is here to let you know. If I now drop down to the heating, similar as you can see, main supply, but this time at 500 watts. Main supply at 1 kilowatt, and then main supply at 2 kilowatts. So you've got 500, 1 and 2, and again just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. Gas on its own, and then dual fuel again. Control the temperature on the plus and the minus. Well, recommend dropping down to the little picture of the moon if you need your heating on whilst you are sleeping. It will keep the temperature at about 16 degrees, and also the circulation fan will be nice and quiet. If there's a problem with either the water heater or the heating, you will get red exclamation marks just appear where my finger is here or here. Once that red exclamation mark appears, just hold whichever corresponding button it's affecting, and then you'll get a series of red lights appear, and then within the manual it will tell you what the problem is. If it's something that's easily rectified, you will need to reset the control panel, and the way you do this is just by holding the button in and pressing the plus if it's a water heater issue, and holding the heating in and pressing the plus if it's a heater issue. If I now come down to the bench seat just here and remove the cushions, and I now lift up, you'll see that we have storage space. We have some 12 volt fuses just here. They are all labelled up and are for mainly components on the outside of the motorhome. We then have the lithium leisure battery just here, nice and compact so it's not taking up too much space. And then we have the main 25 amp fuse off the leisure battery. Battery charger just here. This is the solenoid that controls the water coming into the van from that whale filler system on the outside. We then have the pressure switch for the water pump, so if you find that the water pump is staying on rather a long while after a tap has been closed, when the boiler's full, you can just slightly adjust this. Never twist it a lot, only do very fine movements. We then also have the whale boiler to drain the boiler down for winterization. It's just done on this yellow lever just here. So firstly, make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then just twist it across like so, and it will then drop all of the water out of the boiler underneath the van. If you're fully winterizing, I always suggest that you then also open up all the taps in the motorhome as well, because it will help release any airlocks in the system and help it drain down more efficiently. When it comes to refilling it back up again, close the taps in the van, slide this lever back into this position, fill up the fresh water tank, turn on the water pump, and then it will begin refilling the boiler. Let it refill for a few minutes and then begin opening the taps up. Once the water's running freely on both hot and cold, reclose, and then the system will fully reprime itself. In the overhead locker just here, we have the digital amplifier for the MaxView TV aerial. On and off just underneath. And then control the boost just on the front dial just here. TV connections just here. And then we also have a 12 volt socket, and then we also have a USB charging point. Fridge just here, on and off on the square, and this particular fridge is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I was to now run outside and pull the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. As you can see, the screen will disappear after a few seconds, just tap the blue dot just here and it will then just re-illuminate to let you know what it's up to again. We can take it out of auto by pressing here, so I can manually put it onto mains, manually put it onto 12 volt maintain, and manually put it onto gas. But auto is the easiest option to have it on. Temperature control just here. Truma air conditioning unit just here. This is what the remote control looks like. Blue button turns the unit on, and then we have a mode button to switch between wherever you just want it on. Cold, control temperature on the plus and the minus, and then control the fan speed just here. So within the mode we have literally just heat, auto setting, so it'll just maintain the temperature you have asked, air recirculation, and then back to cool again. If I now slide down, you'll see you can set timers as well. We also have a night mode just there, which keeps it a little bit quieter if you need it on whilst you're sleeping. We also have lights as well, on and off, and if you hold the button they are dimmable as well. In the overhead locker just here is the mobile Wi-Fi unit, on and off just here. Before you actually use it, you will need to remove the back cover and insert the SIM card. You need to register all this as well, and then you'll be able to have on the move Wi-Fi. Microwave just here. This particular model does not require a microwave plate. Isolator switch just here for it. This will only work when you're connected to main supply, exactly the same as the air conditioning unit. We have all the normal quick start just here, stop, etc., and then we have all the power settings, defrost, etc. We then have extractor fan and lights, and then beneath that we have the hob, and that is just push in, twist, and then press the igniter. Beneath that is the oven and the grill. Underneath there you'll then find the majority of the gas isolation taps for the motorhome. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I would say if you do smell gas, just go to the source, or go underneath the van, remove that plate and isolate the gas tank. Consumer unit just here. So we have the 12 volt fuses just there. They are all numbered up and then correspond in the Auto-Sleeper handbook. And if a fuse actually does blow, you will get a red light appear underneath it to let you know, so it makes it easy to diagnose. Beside that, we then have the mains trip switches. So we have the 3 individual MCBs just here, main, RCD and test button. So if anything is not working on main supply, just check to see if you've tripped. Directly above that, we then have 2 isolator buttons. They are for components that use main supply. So we have the green one for the battery charger. So if that one's turned off, the battery charger will not charge either the leisure battery or the vehicle battery from the main supply. We then have the isolator for the whale heating and hot water. Again, if I turn this off, you will not be able to use the heating or hot water on main supply. Full system shutdown just here, so if you're not using the motorhome for long periods of time, you can press this black button and it will then kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. This light will illuminate if you have reverse polarity connected to the motorhome. This can sometimes be found on some continental sites. Wardrobe just here, and we have the smaller coffee table and the table pole that can locate just here. As I now move to the rear, we have the shower cubicle just here, and we then have the pull down basin, blue LED light switch just there, and then this one just controls the extractor fan. Storage just behind the toilet, and then to open to the cassette, just pull the lever across like so, and then just press the blue button to flush. Level indicator just here, so it will let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And if you do leave this open like this, you will not be able to remove the cassette. So if you are feeling resistance, just make sure that nobody has left this open. With this travel seat here, it can be converted into another bench seat similar to this. So if I now push down on the lever just here, you can then slide it forward and it will then drop into place, and then it's just a matter of then just clipping the backrest cushions on, just like this. So we have the smaller backrest cushion just here, and then we have the 3 cushions that are all the same size, arranged like so. If you are going to use this sign here as just a single bed, all you then need to do is then just remove the cushions, and then this bench seat is long enough to lay on. If you are going to use this side as a single bed as well, you will need to pop in the extender piece just in this part here, and the extender piece looks like this. It has this part just here, and this just locates underneath the seat, and then just literally drop it into position. If you are going to use the beds as a double, this section here just needs to come fully out and then just drop the cushions into place. Again, you will need more infills. These 2 longer pieces The passenger seat swivels round on this red lever just here, and then it can be moved backwards and forwards on this lever just here. This is exactly the same on the driver's seat, but this does not rotate round. Both seats are also equipped with armrests. Or I should say, sorry, the driver is equipped with an armrest, and the passenger has lumbar support and adjustment just here.